friends. I'm Amy Morgan, the feature writer for the Marriage Initiative, and I am delighted to introduce you to James and Lisa Duvall. This couple has spent more than 33 years in vocational church work, including leading marriage ministry at Christ Fellowship Church in South Florida. While Lisa still serves as a pastor, shepherding the large church's 350 staff members, James joined global leadership consulting and development group Giant in 2024 to apply its successful 5 voices assessments to the marriage relationship. The new offerings complement the couples coaching and resources James and Lisa offer through their Art of Spousing ministry. James and Lisa, thank you for being here.
It's an honor to be with you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, we're really excited about spending this time with you for sure.
Oh, well, I am looking forward to it as well. You know, you have a long history of marriage ministry at a very, very big church. One of the things you said is marriage is not hard, life is hard. So could you kind of tell us about your journey and how things have happened and what you found?
Yeah. So we came to Christ Fellowship in 1996 when we were a lot younger, and started as a youth pastor, and then spent time in worship ministry and creative ministries at the church. And around 2017, there was an opportunity for me to step back into the student ministry space, overseeing all our kids and students and young adults. And during that season, really, Lisa and I had a really strong marriage, but we never saw ourselves in the marriage space. But really felt prompted, by the Holy Spirit that if we were investing in the kids and in the students, what were we doing to be, really invest in their parents and in their marriages? And so we had a lot of things happening at the church in marriage ministry, a lot of programs that were kind of disconnected from one another. We had a pre-marriage class, and we had a recovery class, and we had some small groups, but all of them kind of operated as independent programs from one another. And so we really felt like it was an opportunity for us to, under the family ministry umbrella, to begin to pull those different programs together in a process that really helped marriages be strong from pre-marriage all the way through, empty nesters. And, we were influenced a lot at the time by some of the work by Ted Lowe and Jim, Doug Fields did a book called Married People. And we love that name. So we started calling our ministry at the church Married People, and started taking some of the paradigm shifts of that we're learning, and really just begin to build this process that was all very, I guess it fit every need, from everything from prescriptive to preventative, and encouraging enrichment for marriages. And we saw a lot of fruit from it over the years.
And I think we were able to build a great culture too of married people here in our church, our local church, that people were excited to be married and have fun together. And so we provided a lot of events for couples to come together and just having the value of having fun. And so it's been a lot of fun to build.
Oh, well, that just sounds great. I can think how fortunate the people are in the South Palm area, having your influence and having that for them. Now, you kind of took that then and created your own website and some of your own materials called the Art of Spousing. Can you tell us about that?
We had a little dream on a vacation, and we were just dreaming about loving investing in married people. And actually, God dropped this idea of spousing. It's like a thing we do. How do we do that well? And there's an art to it. And so we had that name, set on it for a while until God birthed it to actually come about. And it started actually with our podcast, Art of Spousing podcast, because we love giving simple tools, that handlebars for people to actually hold on to actually have conversations, navigate conflict, or just enrich their marriage. So it actually started there, just in a podcast to just invest into marriages, not just to people at our church, but other people that follow us and are interested in marriage. But then James, I'll let you say how it expanded from there.
Yeah, I guess our thought was originally that, there are biblical principles to marriage, that healthy marriage. And, there's a lot of, theory and technical books that are written about how to have a healthy marriage, but every couple is different. And so we talk about that. It's really as much art as it is science. So you can have the principles, but the the color palette, the personality, the artistic flair, if you will, of the husband and wife are going to, I guess, go into that differently. It's going to be different for each couple. And so as we got into it, we started realizing that we talked about practicing our spirit, or the spousing. There's actually two English words for practice. One is PRATISE,
Yes.
which is the ongoing practice of developing. And then the English word that we use is practice, PRACTICE.
You got it right. That
which
was
is,
a miracle.
Well, that was just something I was just thinking.
I hope I spell it right.
Right.
But that's like the institution of something. So a doctor's practice is, and so what we, believe is that a lot of marriages have the institution, the practice of marriage, but they're maybe not practicing the ongoing skills of developing a healthy and vibrant marriage. And so that's really what we try to do through Art of Spousing, is give practical skills, tools that will help people to constantly put their marriage in priority and continue to move forward and not just survive marriage, but really thrive in it.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to a couple of your podcasts, and you also shared a tool that I found very practical. You have a tool, and you use the words intent and impact. Can you give us a little case study on that? Because I actually used that with my husband, and it kind of got us over the hump from a little bit of into a constructive discussion.
Yeah, back even before we were in marriage space, I was in worship ministry, and I attended a marriage conference by myself to lead worship for it. And they actually taught that concept, I guess, over 20 years ago, and we just really took it. And the idea is that a lot of times the way we communicate, our communication impacts our spouse differently than what we really intend. And so we've always used that language just to say, hey, Lisa, I know that you didn't intend to impact me that way, but the way you said that really, frustrated me, hurt my feelings, or didn't set well with me. And that gives Lisa the ability to kind of go, oh, well, I can see how it impacted a way that wasn't my intent. Yeah. So it gives, the spouse the ability to have a do-over, and it trusts goodwill towards one another. I know that's not Lisa's heart to impact me or frustrate me or hurt me.
Yes,
and so,
it's not.
So it allows me to speak that I know your heart's intention, and that wasn't what happened. In the same way, it allows me to say at times, hey, I see the way I said that really impacted you differently than what I intended. And it gives me the ability to kind of, in golfing terms, do a mulligan. Okay, can I do a do-over here and say that the way I really intended it? And so we found that that skill, that tool, to be really helpful, not just in our own marriage, but we share it every place we go, talking to the married couples, because it's so practical and easy to implement right away in your communication.
Well, it is. And, too, that part about intent, what you said, that it makes you remember, if you just remember that one phrase, then it also takes your head back to, I know my spouse means good toward me. I know his or her heart is good toward me. And you have to think about that. Even if you don't want to, you have to go there and get that. And then it kind of almost goes to, what are you rehearsing in your head? Are you rehearsing that you're mad? Or are you rehearsing, I know my spouse loves me?
Yeah.
And then how can I address whatever it is we need to address? And it really shifts that mindset in just that one little tool. So I really like that. I thought you helped me. So thank you.
That's good. That's
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, now you have been with the church, and I know, Lisa, you still are. You are very busy pastoring lots and lots and lots of people. But now, James, you have transitioned to kind of a new role with a new group doing this really cool assessment called 5 Voices. Can you explain this? Because you were telling me about it. I hadn't heard of it, but I've been telling everybody. I actually New Year's Eve ran into a couple that are in a leadership space, and I was explaining it all to them, and that it was just really top of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just to clarify, a Giant worldwide has been around for, a long time. And when I was still on staff at the church, I had become acquainted with Giant and got certified in a lot of their tools. and was doing a lot of coaching on the team and consulting with other leaders. And in 2023, I guess, I had a chance to meet the founder of Giant, Jeremy Kubicek. And in that brief encounter, we weren't looking for, but he invited us to be a part of a collaborative relationship. So I'm not on staff with Giant, but we are in a collaborative relationship that basically the tools that all the tools that Giant uses, we have the ability to go in and repurpose them for marriage. And so their primary tool is Five Voices, which is a psychodynamic tool that really builds on the learnings from, the Big Five, Myers-Briggs, and it really tries to get to the nature of who a person is.
Yeah.
And what we found was before even connecting with Jeremy on it, we were in our own coaching and consulting with couples. We were constantly going to Five Voices because it became such an easy way for couples to understand the dynamic of what's happening in the personality between the two of them.
Yeah.
And so, so we started this relationship. Our first project we did with them was releasing a video course called Five Voices for Marriage.
Yes.
And it's built on that assessment. And then we teach around how to actually use that tool to understand one another better. And even going back to the idea of intent and impact, when I can understand Lisa's tendencies better through Five Voices of Our Natures, then I understand her heart more, and our communication is better and stronger together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so just to kind of put the cookies on the bottom shelf too, because you're so good at high level overview. So the Five Voices is an assessment, kind of like the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram that you are certified in, and you guys are certified. Actually, Lisa, you're certified in all of those, but
Yeah, she is. She's smart.
yes, and it gives you an assessment, kind of a peek into your personality, but instead of giving you numbers or letters, it gives you kind of a name.
Yeah.
And so a person can take the Five Voices assessment through the group called Giant, and they can find out their leadership style.
Yep.
But then what you guys have, your special sauce is you have a way for a husband and a wife to individually take those assessments, and then you do something magical. Tell what that is.
I wish this was my idea and I created it, but James created this. So yeah.
Yeah. And so it's just something that we've created and we've used in our coaching and with couples. And whenever we do, date nights or marriage conferences, so forth, we use it as a tool because basically I've created an algorithm or AI function to basically take the two reports and putting all the learning, all the language, all the understanding of the dynamics of Five Voices into that system. We can create a customized report for a husband and wife that actually kind of tells the husband, hey, here's how you may experience your wife, and here's how she experiences you, and same thing for the wife. And then also bring some other tools like how do you actually empower one another? How do you bring out the best? Or what we would say is how do you liberate your spouse? And what do they need in the area of support and the area of challenge in their life? And each voice brings a different dynamic there. And so understanding those things and being able to lean into those things really helps communication, which in the area of like tensions in marriage and struggles in marriage, communication is crosses them all. And so if we can begin to understand each other and understand what it's like to be on the other side of me, like what we'd say about Five Voices is a lens. And so every day Lisa wakes up and she puts on her nurturer lens, which is the champion of people and champion of values and harmony. And I wake up and I put on my creative pioneer lens, which is the champion of innovation and future thinking and strategy. And so we both see the world through different lenses. But if I can understand how Lisa sees the world through empathy, and she can understand how I see the world, then we can really build on common ground and not see our differences as weaknesses, but actually as strengths that really make our marriage a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm laughing because you were generous enough to let me take it and to let my husband take it and then do our merge so I could
Yeah.
understand it better and be able to explain it to you, marriage champions, better. So I look at the world in my guardian lens and say, give me the details.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me wrap these up. So, anyway, I do want to dive a little bit more into the voices, but before we go back to those individual names of them,
Mhm.
let's share again for our marriage champions how again you have an online course
Mhm.
that you can do, and then you also have a date night or an in-person type of event where you use them. Could you kind of share a little bit how once they get their assessment, and then we can go back and talk maybe more about what the voices are, but how they can really use them together with what you offer?
Yeah.
So I'll start with the date night. So we offer date night at churches or organizations. We're actually doing something up in Northwest Arkansas for a business community and their spouses to come together. And so we'll do a very fun date night. We'll send them the assessment early so they have an opportunity to take that. Then we come in, talk about those things. They'll then get their individual report. And it's always a lot of fun to discover and learn about each other. But that's what the date night looks like. So we use that tool and teach on that at the date night, making it fun and interactive and them to learn each other, and then how to actually apply it and walk out of the room that night using things that can help strengthen their communication.
Yeah. And then with the course, it's basically about an hour and a half, 2 hour video course that we teach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interactive for a couple. There's opportunity to kind of stop it and have discussion around the discoveries of those voices. And then we take it a little bit a step farther on talking about decision making and how do you use the strengths and the uniqueness of your understanding of each other's voices to actually be able to make decisions better, because some voices are more present oriented. Some are, yeah, that's her. Some are more future oriented, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Some are more people oriented, and some are more strategy and logic oriented. So, understanding those dynamics and really leaning into those differences or those strengths can really help in the area of decision making. And then the last part of that course is we talk about, again, this idea of how do you bring out the best in your spouse? And we use the word empowerment or liberate. How do you fight for the highest good in your husband or wife? And we talk about how to understand how to bring, calibrate, support, and challenge for one another so that you are bringing out the best in one another.
Yeah, it was so interesting. So if a husband and wife wanted to do that, they could do the online, and then the course, they can just do it kind of at their own leisure with their assessments and their blend right there. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about those voices. I might pull up what you found about my husband and I. If you want, we can use us as an example because we're, we won't be betraying any confidences.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's interesting. The voices that we'll go through go from the softest voice to the loudest voice. Some voices are softer and some are louder. And so I'm going to start with the softest voice, which happens to be my voice, which is the nurturer voice. They're the champion of people and as James mentioned, harmony and values. And so I approach things with that in mind. I'm very present oriented. But I represent 42% of the population, the nurturer voice does. So when we're in a room on a date night, 42% of the people in that room are going to be nurturers like me. And so it's a very interesting thing. I'll let you jump into that.
Yes. Yeah, so
what does soft mean versus loud?
Okay.
Yeah. When we talk about voices, it's important to understand we're not just talking about verbal speaking. Mm-hmm. It's about how you show up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Your overall style, your overall personality. And so by quiet, meaning that nurture voices aren't going to tend to dominate conversation. They're not going to be the first to speak up.
Right.
A lot of times they're going to not actually speak until invited to. So they're quiet in that sense. Okay. So like the creative voice, which is the next voice, is actually quiet, not because it's silent, because creatives are actually more, sometimes more demonstrative and so forth, but they're more quiet because a lot of times the first thing that comes out of their mouth is not fully vetted or thought through. They process internally and speak externally while they're processing. Okay. So a lot of times creatives are shut down because what first comes out doesn't make sense.
Ah,
Then there's the guardian voice, which is the champion of due
That's
diligence.
you.
That's you. And they're geared by like data, by repeatable systems, and so forth. Sometimes they can be annoying to people because they ask a lot of questions.
yes, I can
And
get
then the next loudest voice is the connector voice, which is the champion of networks and relationships. And they know everybody. They have, they can pick up a conversation with their friends from kindergarten they haven't seen for 40 years, like it was yesterday.
Mhm.
And they're great salespeople in that sense. And then the loudest voice is the pioneer voice, which is a champion of strategy. And they have a very forceful and strong voice about them. So those are the five voices and how those play out.
Yeah, I love that. And so when you gave my husband and I our joint assessment, you started with we both have start with the same one. We both are guardians, but we have everything else so different. But you started with a positive, which
Mhm.
I thought I figured you might on everybody's, but you both said your relationship is grounded in responsibility, commitment, desire to protect what matters most. And I was like, okay, yay, this is good.
Yeah.
And then you kind of share where our secondary voices might split off a little bit,
Mhm.
different, and you can see where, although those secondary voices individually are strengths, they might rub.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so then you also talk about like if you're under stress
Mhm.
and how the rub might
Yeah.
manifest itself. Can you
What
talk
we call the
about
weapon
that?
system.
I thought that was so funny. Our older son was looking over the shoulder and he started laughing. He's just like, "Oh yeah, that's you."
Yeah.
Yeah, we call that the weapon system. Under moderate stress, we all kind of show up a little different, but under extreme stress, we all have this internal defense mechanism or weapon system, however you want to say it, that can really come across and actually be hurtful to one another. So, um, for the nurture, Lisa's weapon system is withholding care or a medical kit. So when she is under stress or feels disregarded or whatever, she can zip up her medical kit and where she's naturally as a nurturer more about caring for people and relationships, she can tend to withhold that care. For myself as a creative pioneer, my weapon system is laser-like critique, or a more harsh way to say it was be like a sniper rifle. Is I have the ability to really be sarcastic and attack
Targeted,
and
yeah.
targeted and hurtful that way. So each one of us have a way that if we're under stress and we act accidentally instead of intentionally, can actually cause harm in a relationship.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the word already with tools to liberate one another
Mhm.
with specific phrases and things. Can you address that a little bit more? Because I had not really heard that phrase before, but I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, the Giant actually has like 70 some plus tools, leadership tools that they
Wow.
can be used that are visual tools because often people will remember a visual idea more than they will language. And so maybe not all those tools we've not applied to marriage yet, but a lot of them we have. And so there, in particular, there is support and challenge. James mentioned this. There's a way that we can bring support and challenge and how voices show up in that. I, as a nurturer, don't always bring challenge. So it's actually hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Or James, he does bring challenge great. And so so it's actually knowing how to encourage our spouse to show up as their best self, but bringing those things. So I've had to learn how to bring challenge to James or him bring challenge to me and knowing the right timing of that.
Yeah.
Well, I liked some of the phrases that you guys had, or that the assessment offered for ours was like, I trust you. I just want us aligned.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was, or what concerns should we address before deciding? If I can remember to say that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like that idea of the picture because maybe there's a really good little picture that would help me
Right.
remember that. Well, and then you talk about ideas for growth.
Mhm.
And again, you have some, great, I'm thinking there might be some pictures for that. Let's talk about ideas for growth.
Yeah. So I think, the more aware we are of who we are, self-awareness, aware of like the areas that I may struggle or be, um, if I'm acting accidentally or, not intentionally in the relationship, then if I understand those things, I can change those things. And so one of the things we, teach, each couple is like, the more, I know myself, the better I can lead myself. And the same with Lisa, the more she knows herself, the better she can lead herself. And so when we understand those areas that, we are different in, or that we don't see the world through the same lens, then we can begin to, again, lean in with empathy. We can begin to leverage one another's strengths for growth. We say it all the time that a better me is a better we. And so the more I understand myself, and I'm growing, it's going to rub off that Lisa's going to, our marriage is going to be better from that. So each one of those voices have some opportunity for discovery and some growth areas that they can bring into the marriage.
Well, I love that you talked about we and me, because one of the conclusions of the report was our shared we makes us better than either's individual me.
Yeah.
I love that.
It really does.
That's
Well,
the beauty of
yours.
marriage.
That was yours. Well, and then after that, whether they want to do the course or the date night or whatever, you have some personalized opportunities to go further. Let's talk about these, because some of these are brand new. Yes.
Yeah, so we're launching Art Espousing Collective. It's an online community that we'll be offering once a month. It's a virtual meet with James and I. We have a platform that kind of like a Facebook private group, but better, because we have a lot of resources available to them on that platform. Yeah. So we're starting that this month, really excited about it. And then we have the built-in community, and that will actually provide opportunity for them to ask us questions live in person, and really kind of a mentorship online. So we're very excited about that.
We're gonna bring some friends of ours, some guests in the marriage space on there, special guests from time to time, just to invest in the community. And it's a really low entry place that people can begin to invest and grow in their relationship. We'll use a lot of the language from 5 Voices and those tools, and teach some of those tools to help them bring those into the relationship. But for the it costs lower than ordering a pizza on once a month. You can strengthen your marriage. And then the other tool that we have is we do intensives with couples. These are 2 days, couple on couple with Lisa and I, in our home. Couple will come in and we'll work for two intense days. Intense being that they're long, not that they're like super emotional. But it's all about working specifically on your marriage. So we're going to dig deep on understanding the dynamics of your relationship, and maybe what's got you to where you are today. And then we're going to really look forward to the future. It's like, what do you want for your marriage? Where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? What are the steps that you need to take that are going to help you get to what you want for your marriage, for your family, for your future? And we've done those intensives with about 20 or so couples now. And every time we do it, it's a dynamic opportunity, because each one is unique. Because again, Art Espousing, every couple is unique, and they bring different nature, nurture, the choices that they made into the relationship. And so we get to navigate that journey with them, and then do coaching on the back end with them to kind of build that momentum into their marriage relationship.
And we always say, we're the guides, you're the content. We're not telling people what to do. We're pulling out of them. And the process of those 2 days really pulls out, what do you want for your marriage? And we can help build a structure around that. So it's very life-giving and forward-moving, and in a direction of where you want to go.
I could see that for a lot of times, if couples are in an inflection point, like the empty nest or facing retirement or, transitioning in some way, that would be a really great, time to get some vision and guideposts. Now, I think you guys are also developing an app.
An app?
No, that James has he has a few irons in the fire. So he has there's an app he's developing that's unrelated to marriage, but that's because he is a creative pioneer. He's going to create, have ideas, and build. So,
but if you have an idea for an app, we could maybe develop it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, yes, I was prescient. I guarantee that one of those days that's going to be in an iron in the fire
Yeah, that's
from
right.
that. So the collective community. Well, this has been so much fun. James and Lisa, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for your generosity and letting us, my husband and I, take the assessment. It was really interesting and fun to get to do.
Yeah, the thing about the assessment is it's a manual thing that I do, but if people are interested in it, they email us or whatever, and we know that they have their email addresses and can connect a couple, we'd be glad to do that for anybody. So
wow, it was really interesting. So thank you.
awesome.
Marriage Champions, if you'd like to learn more about Lisa and James and their art of spousing resources, you can always find us at marriageinitiative.org or marriageresources.org.